Hello, this is Required Fields, and in this video is going to be my fourth. I'm going to do another installment of my Catalog Cripplers series, and if you ask me, I think we've lowered the bar here with this one. This has to be the worst album that we have that I've discussed in the series thus far, if you ask me. The album that we're going to be discussing is Promise by the band Massacre. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Massacre, they are a death metal band from Florida, and their 1991 debut album, From Beyond, is a great old school death metal record. An interesting distinction about the band is that all four members were at one point a member of Death prior to this album. Cam Lee, the vocalist, was in the band in their demo era, and Rick Ross, the guitarist, was on the Leprosy album, as was the drummer, Bill Andrews. Meanwhile, the bass player, Terry Butler, played bass on Death's album Spiritual Healing. Now, From Beyond is a great album that will be comparable to Death's album Leprosy, which two of the band members played on. And anyways, then in 1992, Massacre released the EP Inhuman Condition, which is in the same style, and the pressing that I have of From Beyond includes the Inhuman Condition EP as bonus tracks. And then after the Inhuman Condition EP, Massacre broke up, and then they reformed a few years later, and they released Promise. And now the album was released on Earache Records, and if it wasn't for Massacre's debut album and EP, I don't think that there was a way that this album really would have gotten a distribution on a top-tier underground metal label. It is pretty horrendous, this album. It is... Now, the style is different now. I understand bands not wanting to redo the same, do something that they did before. They wanted to tread new ground or something, but they could have done so much better than this. Now, it is not definitely not From Beyond Part 2, but anyway, this album is just really, really horrendous groove metal. And the band had some lineup changes, although Cam Lee and Rick Ross are still on here. And anyways, in fact, Cam Lee is actually only purportedly on this album. He claims to have actually left the album during the recording process, but something tells me that he really just does not want to take responsibility for having taken part in this album. He just he completely disowns it, and when you hear it, it's very easy to hear where. Now, the album takes more of a groove metal direction, some very primitive death metal riffing, a bit of groove metal, a little bit of very primitive death metal on it, but the mix is just, it does not seem like they actually put a lot of effort into the songwriting here whatsoever, as the songs tend to sound very samey. But what really brings this album down is the vocal performance of Cam Lee, or who, now I'm going to get to something in just a moment. Now, it seems that in addition to Cam Lee not having actually taken part in this album purportedly, or at least having left during the recording process, it does say in the booklet, welcome Kenny Goodwin. Now, unless Cam Lee is telling the truth here and saying he was not involved, or Kenny Goodwin is just a pseudonym. When he looks up on Encyclopedia Metallum, the metal archives, there is no involvement of Kenny Goodwin in any other band ever. In fact, there's no information I could find about him, unless maybe it was just one of those session musicians who just filled in for the result of Cam Lee not being there, or maybe Kenny Goodwin was just a pseudonym that he used just to avoid taking credit for this atrocity of an album. But yes, Cam Lee has denied involvement in this album at times over the years, and anyways, the lyrics on this album are just plain cringeworthy, and as opposed to the very couldn't be bothered type of songwriting here in the groove metal style, the lyrics on the album are very cringeworthy. Seem to be written from the perspective of a 14-year-old misogynist who just got dumped by his girlfriend, pretty much. And It just it is pretty much like that, and several of the songs tend to have that type of songwriting. Basically, that's what it seems to be about. They're just written in a process of a week of a misogynistic 14-year-old goth kid who just got dumped by his first girlfriend. Pretty much, it's really horrendous songwriting on here, anyways. The band broke up after its release. Now, Massacre is a band that was split up and reformed several times over the years, and it should be no surprise after listening to this album that they did in fact break up again. Now, they had broke up after the Inhuman Condition EP. They even were together in the 80s for a little bit, and then split up and then reformed after Cam Lee, after Rick Ross and Bill Andrews had left Def. Massacre was up and running again and released their full-length debut. But either way, Promise is an absolute atrocity of an album. The band actually has actually split up and reformed a number of times over the years, like I stated, and they did release another EP and full-length titled Back from Beyond. But I saw a funny review of it on Metal Archives. Promise Metal Archives said Back from Beyond is just basically a Paw Patrol Band-Aid and a third-degree burn. And if you look it up, if you look up the reviews of Metal Archives of there are several reviews in there, and all but one give the album less than 10 out of 100. It is an absolutely abhorrent album and deserves all the negativity it gets. And anyways, Massacre has gotten back together in recent years and are actually working on a new album. And let's just hope that it's pretty much closer to From Beyond in terms of qualities and promise. That's for sure. Anyways, as for From Beyond, get this album if you don't have it already. It's a very good piece of old school death metal, and definitely that album is definitely worth checking out. And Promise has been kept out of print after it actually went out of print initially. It hasn't been put back in print, and I don't see it going back in print. And let's just hope it stays that way, as this is definitely one of the most reviled albums in the metal underground, and it deserves to be such. Anyways, let's just pretend this album never existed after this. I'd like to say that this album never existed, is what I should say. I mean, if you're one of those people who's never heard this album, just don't. Move along and listen to From Beyond instead. You'll thank me for it. And also, if possible, if you see From Beyond, be sure to get the version of the album with the Inhuman Condition as EP as bonus tracks as well. Very good stuff, unlike Promise. But anyways, thank you very much for watching this video. It's Required Field signing off, and goodbye.